How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Before I Forget. This is my video channel, inspired by my Instagram channel, 1985 Road Dog. I'm going to speak today on artists on stage getting stuff thrown at them. I read an article today in the New York Post online about Billie Eilish. They were making a big to-do that somebody threw a chain up on stage at Billie Eilish. Like this has never happened before. It's one of those things that's been going on for millennia. It's like this article was just talking about Billie Eilish. I think Adele. Somebody threw something at Adele, and she made a statement that audiences have lost all decorum, and audiences have lost all sense of right and wrong and what the artist deserves and all this kind of stuff. It was like, going on and on and on. Now, if you were Aerosmith in the 70s, those guys got stuff thrown at them on stage. I mean, it was like, if you went to see Aerosmith at the Spectrum in Philly, they're throwing M80s and cherry bombs at the band. I mean, that's what went on in the old days, the old concert days. So it's not that audiences have lost their decorum or forgot what their how they should act at concerts or what the artist expects from the audience. That got out of line. It's like, that it took it to the other place. Like we're sacred gods up here. You can't throw stuff at us. Well, I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, you've got 20,000, 15,000 people in an arena and they're selling alcohol. I mean, I've seen so much stuff thrown at bands in my life. Aerosmith got a lot of stuff. Kiss, every band had stuff thrown at them at one point in their career. Although I can't remember anybody throwing anything on stage at LA Guns in those years when I worked with LA Guns. I don't remember people throwing stuff on stage. I mean, I've seen it at Cheap Trick. I mean, people just throw stuff. That's the nature of a concert. A concert was never designed to be a safe place for people. It's like you take your life in your hands when you go to a concert, or you used to. Today, the artist and the security, everybody expects that the audience should act a certain way, so their art isn't interrupted. It's like, give me a break. It's like, whatever. People paid, and if somebody's going to throw something, they throw something. They get arrested, they get arrested. But, to go on and on about somebody threw a chain at Billie Eilish. I mean, look, you shouldn't throw stuff, but people are going to do it. It's a concert. But they made it seem like this is a new thing, that the audiences have gotten so crazy, and there's no more right or wrong, no more decorum, so they're starting to throw stuff at bands. No. They've been throwing stuff at bands for years. Motley Crue, everybody got stuff thrown at them. I mean, I was in a band at one point, if you know that, and we opened for Ace Frehley at Lemoore in Brooklyn, and we got so much stuff thrown at us. I mean, we did stink, but I got hit in the head with a full can of beer. I was bleeding. I mean, it's just people throw stuff, man. I've seen stuff thrown at the Stones. In the 70s, there was a lot of fireworks. M80s, cherry bombs, firecrackers. People would throw, if there's a book, a really great book about the Alice Cooper Band in 73, 74. The book is called $1 Billion Babies, I believe, by Bob Greene. And they, there's a whole chapter there where they're on a Christmas tour in 73, I think it was 73, 74 in there. And people were in Toledo, Ohio, and people were throwing coins, like quarters that had been sharpened, like ninja star kind of things. And they were throwing them at Alice Cooper. The guitarist got hit in the eye with something blew up near his head, a big firework. I mean, this is what went on. I mean, so, I feel that, in those days, people were taking, crazy drugs, angel dust, smoking angel dust and doing crazy stuff. So who knows what made them do that kind of stuff so much in the 70s and 80s. I think, and then like it kind of chilled out, but then you got to the grunge days and the hardcore days and the Pantera days and all these bands. And the audience was jumping up on the stage all the time. So, I mean, that was the thing. You weren't a cool, hip band of the people unless you let the audience on stage to mosh, dance, jump, stage dive. I mean, the stage would get invaded with people. So it kind of changed, at least in the rock world. Yes, in the pop world and in the world of, Britney Spears or Cher and, these people, Celine Dion in Vegas. That was a totally different type of thing. But I don't look at today's Billie Eilish audience any different than I do, a rock band in the 70s. It's, you get fringe people at these shows. What do I mean by fringe people? I mean, just people that are, music and concerts in general always attracted people that were either hyped up on drugs. Of course, they loved the music, but it was about drugs, partying, a lot of mentally unstable people. That was music. Music speaks to people that are otherwise called freaks or lunatics or whatever. Music has got special magic. So why these people were at these shows doing these things, why they're doing it today, I mean, it's always been going on. I've read articles from musicians that have talked about people throwing stuff at the stage. And they would go and say, the audience just wants to connect with you or see if you're real. At least in the 70s, that I agree. You see, I don't know, whoever, Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, 77 on stage, people, it wasn't real. It was like they were bigger, larger than life. So people would throw stuff to see how they would react. A lot of people with, now, or I guess, I don't know if it still goes on. I go to a lot of shows, but they, T-shirts and hats, you would always throw a hat up on stage. And if you're lucky, somebody from the band would pick it up and put it on and walk around with your baseball hat on and then, throw it back behind the amps or whatever. There's always been that need to connect with the artist. Some people take it much more of a violent way. Yeah, I mean, I read this article today about how there's outrage that audiences are throwing stuff at the artists today. But that's been going on forever, man. It's like, either you ignored it back then or you did a, Sebastian Bach, 89, whatever year that was when he jumped into the crowd, Axl Rose jumped into the crowd. So that's how you would solve it. You would either jump in the crowd and take matters in your own hands if you could see the guy. David Lee Roth, I've seen him stop the show. Who threw something at me, He would always say, if I find out who it is, I'm going to come down there and fuck your girlfriend. That was the big David Lee Roth one. But yeah, either you got aggressive and jumped in the crowd and went nuts. I mean, not too many people did that, or you ignored it. Or you could choose to stop the show and walk off and leave, which I think Aerosmith did a couple times. When you've got M80s blowing up on your head, you kind of like, okay, the show's over, and you leave. But they didn't really complain about it, but I guess it's different today because of social media and the internet and everything. It's, information is instant. So back then you would have to wait. If Joe Perry was bitching about somebody throwing an M80 at his head, you'd have to read about it in a magazine, which came out, 2 months later somewhere. So today it's instantaneous and people are much more aware of what's going on. But back then it was part of being in a band or being an entertainer or whatever. You just, if you're appealing to a young audience, youngish, and you're selling alcohol at the venues and people are already coming pre-gamed out and fucked up, shit's going to happen. Out of 15,000 people, there's going to be a couple of idiots throwing shit. That's just how it goes. But to bitch about it, make a big deal about it in the newspapers, is just like, oh, God, man, do you have anything else to talk about? Who cares? Let me do something at you, then quit. This is the price you pay when you sign the dotted line. I'm going to be a celebrity, an entertainer, a musician, an actor. You sign your deal with the devil, dude. So if people are throwing stuff at you, punching you in the street, this is what goes on. Be aware of your surroundings, man. Have your head on a swivel if you're walking around the city these days. Anyway, I had to jump on and talk about that real quick. I've got a couple more videos coming up. Thanks for listening. Christmas is coming up. The book is available on Amazon, Tales from the Gutter and Other Rock and Roll Shenanigans, my book. Amazon globally. And I also sell copies, autographed, signed, not autographed, I hate that word, but personally signed copies on my Instagram, 1985 Road Dog. Thanks for listening. I'll speak to you soon. Hope you're all doing well. Ciao.